begin the Finding Dory press conference here in London, England. Please welcome to the stage Angus MacLean. Followed by the wonderful Lindsey Collins, Dominic West, Ellen DeGeneres, and Andrew Stanton. Please welcome.
Oh, I know, I'm like...
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, boy.
Sit back and relax.
This is nice.
Oh.
Cozy. So I don't want to embarrass anybody here, but
But you do.
But I do it all the time. But in 2003, there was a movie called Finding Nemo, and it was, safe to say, incredibly successful. 99% Rotten Tomatoes, biggest selling DVD of all time. So how long did you think we might have to wait for a sequel if we were to get one?
I was very vocal. I think there's a lot of evidence online that I said that was it. Like, there would be no sequel. And then somebody that's sitting here kept bringing up
Dominic.
a sequel. Although, even then, I was like, I don't know. You know, I've done enough work on all these other films to know it has to be a really good story, a really good idea. And so I got busy with doing other things, and it wasn't until 2011 we had to watch the 3D version of a release of it. So I hadn't seen the film in like 7 years.
It's good.
And I watched, yeah, and I watched it, and maybe for the first time like an audience member, and I walked out going, I am so worried about Dory. Like, she hasn't found her family. She could lose the family she has. She's still apologizing for her short-term memory loss, yet we all love it. And as a writer, I was ashamed at how unresolved she was, and so that's really what motivated it.
So happy to hear that. You were ashamed of it.
I was ashamed.
What was a typical Ellen email like in terms of, I don't suppose you've given any more thought to a Finding Nemo sequel?
You never did it by email. You
No.
always did it very publicly.
No, I had a talk show. I didn't need email. I had a talk show. I had a platform that was so easy to do. Had I not had a talk show, we would not be sitting here today, I don't think. But no, it really just became content for the show. It was a joke, because every sequel that came out for every other movie, it was just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And then it became a running joke, and then then my joke was over because he did the movie. So now I have no more jokes.
Can I just say, of all the ways to ruin a joke, this is one of the best ones.
Oh, good.
So hats off.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
So it's decided there's going to be a Finding Dory.
Yes.
How do your co-conspirators get involved? How does this all come together?
Well, Lindsey is my sort of co-partner in crime and has been for, 16 years now. And so she's the first person to know if I have any inkling. So I privately told her I was kind of thinking of stuff. I don't know if you want to run with that a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, Andrew always, whenever he solves a movie, it's almost like a visible thing. When we're working on it, you can see that there's actually a split second of relief, and then immediately there's something else that starts taking up that part of his brain. And so I've learned kind of over the years to expect that, and to not take it lightly when he kind of throws off a comment like, yeah, I'm kind of worried about Dory, and then moves on to something else. And I was like, wait a minute, he's never said that before. So yeah, we talked about it, but we kept it very, very quiet, and I think he talked about it a few soon after.
It was sort of if there was, hypothetically, if there was a sequel, would you be interested in hypothetically joining me on this hypothetical journey? And I said hypothetically yes. So
Yeah.
It was pretty early on, then we kept it pretty quiet.
But even internally in Pixar, you couldn't say finding anything,
Yeah.
or you just knew it would be made.
Yeah.
So Dominic, you get contacted. They ask you whether you want to be part of this film. Was it difficult for you to not keep the secret? Because I imagine it might have been quite the thing to brag about.
Yeah, I can't keep any secrets, so I think Andrew probably knew that, and so didn't tell me. But I immediately said, of course. Well, I don't know if I said I wouldn't tell anyone, but I immediately told all my kids, obviously, thinking, well, they're not going to tell anyone. Interesting, and of course they all told all their friends. And so I think it was they'd anticipated that, so it didn't seem to spill any beans, but it did get me a lot of kudos at home, which is all I long for.
Yeah, it's literally what it's all about.
Don't they get bored, though, because you tell a kid something that's going to happen 2 years later that's like saying a lifetime from now.
Right.
Right, they're like, whatever, it's not happening.
It'll be out in just 2016.
Yeah.
But my daughter's called Dora, so she was particularly interested, you know.
Nice.
That what it's going to be called? I don't know.
Maybe, I think not, but maybe. So, time for you guys to ask some questions as well. I've got one here, right at the front, I gather. Please, would you like to say something?
So I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and therefore I made you a gift to say thank you. But first, I would like to ask you a question. So if anyone was finding Ellen, what 3 things could they possibly do to track you down?
Turn on the TV. Look at YouTube. Look at Ellen Tube. It'd be pretty easy to find me. Give me my gift. Thank you.
Also, heads up, is it?
You're not going to open it?
Do you want me to open it in front of people?
Yeah.
I think it's a yeah. I think it's a yeah.
You really can't keep a secret.
No.
You know what everything is right away.
Ah.
Did you draw this? Yeah. Wow, thank you so much.
It's a memory game.
I think that
Oh,
she's...
it's a memory game.
I actually think that she's auditioning to work for you.
It's like animation. Yeah, you flip
Wow,
it.
that's amazing. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
This gentleman here, your name and where you're from.
Nick from Kids Call It. Firstly, the film is amazing. As my kids have grown up with the original, I dare say my grandkids will grow up with this one, so it's fantastic. I have a question for Ellen from my son, Hag, who's 11. He would like to know, do you still enjoy eating fish now that you've played a fish for so long?
It's a good question, Hank. Well, when we did Nemo, I was eating fish, and then I became a vegan for most of those years, and then I just recently started eating fish. I don't eat
Out of
fish.
anger?
Yes, I'm furious. Out of retaliation that there was no sequel. And I'll eat fish. I don't eat blue tang. You can tell Hank I don't eat blue tang. And I rarely eat fish. I don't eat meat or anything, but I don't really enjoy eating fish. Tell him. I don't know what to tell him. I don't have children. It seems like a horrible question. Like, I don't know what to say. That would be okay. Don't answer it.
Top that.
Tell him I don't know.
Gentleman here in the burgundy polo shirt. Oh, it's very nice.
Hi guys, Simon from GT Magazine. A general question to whoever wants to answer it, but every good, in fact every great family film has a message. What is the message of Finding Dory?
You're all looking at me, okay. It's being one of the writers of it, the intention was self-acceptance. That we all have something about us. It could be as obvious as a disability like short-term memory loss, but it also could just be the way you think, the way you perceive things, where you see yourself as having a shortcoming, but it's actually what makes you special, what makes you unique. And I think we find a certain peace once we start to really learn who we are and accept that. And that's really what I felt Dory had to go through to really be confident if she was ever alone again. And it ended up being sort of a universal thing that I think could apply to anybody at any age.
That's beautiful. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't have to tell you that.
No,
so.
I didn't know. I didn't get any of that from that film.
Oh, shoot.
So when you first cast Ellen, what was that like? How did that begin?
The truth is I had a fish, a worried father clownfish that was trying to go across the ocean to find his son, and I needed a guide. And all I knew, I had read this fact that a goldfish has a memory of 3 seconds. And I thought that was hilarious. And so I thought, what if I had a fish with short-term memory loss? But everything I was writing was repetitive and not funny. And Ellen had an original sitcom called The Ellen Show in the 90s that was playing at the time that I was writing. And I was stuck. And I heard her on the show while the TV was playing change the subject 5 times in one sentence. And I was like, that's it. That's how you do it. And then I could not get her specific voice out of my head. And suddenly I was out of writer's block. And I was just writing like furious. So when I sent her the script, it's the only time I've ever written with a specific actor in mind. I called you. You had read the script, and I said, "Hi, Ellen. I'm Andrew Stanton. I wrote this part for you, and if you don't take it, I'm screwed." But I used a harder word than that. And you said, "Well, I better take it." I think that was that short of a conversation.
Well, I had no job offers at the time, so that was...
Okay.
I hadn't worked in 3 years. I was thrilled that someone called me for anything. I was about to work at the Olive Garden. I was like, I couldn't believe I was being offered anything, much less a part in a Pixar film from you. So it was amazing.
And it's a bit flattering when someone basically says, "You're my muse. I need you to be this part." It's
You're
rather-
the bumbling idiot that is in my head. Your voice is so repetitive.
You're the
like
bumbling
crazy.
idiot beneath my wings.
Yes.
Was it a similar sell to Dominic? Look, we need you to play this sea lion. We need you to do this.
Actually, yeah. I mean,
It was one of our earliest castings.
He was because
Yeah.
I-
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I got to work with Dom on Carter, and he's such a funny guy, and he's kind of impish, and I couldn't get it out of my head, this idea of sea lions being just these sort of street kind of thuggish Londoners, and you know what I mean. And it just seemed funny to me, and then I couldn't get. Basically, I wanted a Wire reunion. That's really what I wanted. No, but it's true. I really thought it was. Knowing Dominic, I thought that would be really funny, and him and Idris would really sound great against each other, and it worked. It worked like gangbusters. We did a first session with you guys a long time ago, and it just clicked. Yeah.
Can't wait for the spin-off.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
So, more questions. This lady here at the front with a hand up.
Hi, I'm from the Salvation Army newspaper, The War Cry, and the question is for Ellen. What has Dory taught you over the years, and what can we learn from her?
Well, I think that everybody relates to Dory so much or wants to relate to her because she's so optimistic, and because she has this supposed disability, she doesn't really worry about the past or try to analyze the future, and it doesn't paralyze her to make decisions. She's just spontaneous, and she's non-judgmental, and she's, no matter what mood somebody else is in, it doesn't impact her. She doesn't take it personally. So I think it's basically, you know, it reminds me, and which is what I try to do every day and say on the show, is be kind to one another. I think that's what Dory does. And the whole just keep swimming from the very first one, that it's attached to my fish's character, is sort of a wonderful mantra that I think that really I didn't know I had most of my life and most of my career, but I have applied it to my life, and I think a lot of people apply it to their lives.
I just want to ask a question to you guys, Lindsey and Angus, just on a technical point of view. Comparing this to what was capable of back in 2003, what could you do now that you couldn't do before visually? Because this is a stunning film, as well as an emotional film.
Thank you. I would like to say that if you think about what your computer could do in 2003, what your phone could do in 2003, it'd be hard to go back and use that now. We have a lot of technical advantages on this film. Certainly the water is a lot nicer, but the character Hank would have not been possible back in 2003 because of the amount of animated variables and just the technical aspects of Hank, both I think just from the fact that you have one tentacle has all of these different bends in it and all of the suckers, and that's multiplied times 7. That's actually why we lost one of the tentacles. It was a little bit cheaper. Yeah, a little too much.
No, and I mean, if you notice, you know, in the first film, like we almost never break the surface of the water. The camera doesn't. So all of those kind of handcuffs that we had on the first film were like, you know, and Andrew would be like, "Hey, can we?" And we'd be like, "We can only have like 3 of those shots because we can't do them." There was basically, they were gone on this film. So it was kind of wherever they wanted to move the camera, wherever they wanted to put it, it was kind of a free for all. And you would think it would go faster there, but no, it turns out the appetite just gets bigger.
Yeah, for the technical, your computing
like, "I want
power goes
more."
here, and your creative appetite goes here.
Yeah.
Always.
It's like a constant.
I'm starting to forgive a 13-year wait. There's
Yeah.
a lot of tentacles to do.
Yeah.
More questions, please. How about this lady in the black and white top here?
Hi, this is to Ellen. Sorry, it's a sort of double question. I'm Nicole from the Mail. To me, Dory is perhaps Disney's first disabled heroine. I don't know whether you agree, but to me, she reminded me of somebody with like sort of dementia, and that it's quite moving seeing her really struggle with this disability. And I was wondering also if you could talk about that 3-year gap where you didn't have work and Dory came. Did she sort of save your life in some ways, or certainly save your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the coincidence was I was doing this for 3 years because it took 3 years to do Nemo, and it came out coincidentally when I launched my talk show. So right around the time in the middle of doing Nemo is when we were out trying to sell my talk show. So it came at an amazing time, obviously, and quite a coincidence, but you know, it certainly saved my life in many ways. And just that kind of confidence that Andrew had. I don't know if he was even aware of my situation because he's so immersed in his world, he probably didn't realize that I wasn't working and that I wasn't desirable. If he knew I wasn't desirable, he may not have asked for me. People would have said, why do you want her? So it was just the timing thing, and as far as the first, you know, I think it's an important message, as Andrew said, that this supposed disability that she has is her strength, and I think that we all have to look for whatever it is about us that we feel is our disability, whether it's physical or mental, and look at it as what makes us special and makes us unique, and use that to empower us.
The man behind the camera.
Hi guys, congratulations on a beautiful film. My question's to Andrew and to Ellen. Obviously, at the heart of Nemo and now Dory is a celebration of the importance of family in all its different beautiful forms. And I'm curious how you felt about the varied responses that element of particularly this story has had.
You know, the thing about Dory is that we always felt, we used to even say this on the first film, she just sort of creates families wherever she goes. And if you really analyze this film, there's 3 families. There's the family that she's made with Marlin and Nemo. There's the family she's looking for. And then there's everybody she meets along the way. And it's a real, I think it's very inspiring. It kind of shows you how much you can do the same. And that, you know, we certainly have the same when we make movies. You end up almost spending more time with the people you're making the movies with than the people that you're going home to. And that family's a very... can be defined in many, many, many different ways. It's kind of infinite in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the story is the journey of where are her parents, I mean, and what happened to her and how did she get separated from them. So she's looking for, out of what any child would do, is who's my mother and father, where are they? But I think that it's not about a mother and a father, and it's not about blood relations, it's about who makes you feel good and who gets you and supports you for all of who you are. And that's, to me, what family and what home is wherever you're supported.
Yeah. This gentleman here in the grey.
Thank you. Tim from OK Online. This is a question for Andrew. Given that you felt that Dory's story wasn't really kind of finished in the first film, could I put it to you that the character we now need to know more about is Hank? Because we don't know why he is like he is. And can I plant that seed that there needs to be a prequel?
So many people have asked for Finding Hank, although there's been a lot of Finding Gerald they've been asking for.
Right.
And which I'm sure Dom's behind. There's been actually Finding quite a bit, but Finding Hank makes sense. I think you'd have to make Finding Andrew first, because I've just finished 4 years with Fish, and that's on another 4 years with Fish. So it may take a while for there to be a third. I mean, I've learned to never say never, though. So I'm all for a great story if that's what it'll be. But
it would be Finding Hank's tentacle.
Yeah, it would probably be that more specific.
It would just be one tentacle. It wouldn't be that hard to make.
No.
Just
one tentacle.
Sure.
Yeah. It could be a horror film.
It could be a horror film. Yeah.
There it is. Just there it is.
The possibilities are endless.
Pixar's first horror movie.
It could be amazing.
It would go gangbusters.
It could be amazing.
Can I ask a bit about the heritage of Pixar? And there are a few, maybe not obligations, but I guess you're encouraged to include A113, that sort of thing. With Finding Dory, was it a little easier than Finding Nemo to include these callbacks because you had more freedom to get out of the water?
We have a lot of Easter eggs in there. Some of them are the traditional ones. Some of them are ones that have never been in any of our films before.
Well, the interesting thing for me is that Nemo was actually one of the first Easter eggs actively put into a Pixar film. The squeeze toy of Nemo was put into Monsters
Yeah.
Inc.
We always put one of the next film out. We always put something from the next film out. We always put A113. So there was, but they're not, we try to put them in the Pizza Planet truck. We try to put them places, it certainly was easier than like Dino. I mean, my God, we were like, how are they gonna do that? But I know, the pizza truck,
How do you
exactly.
put a pizza truck in prehistoric times?
But we try to put them in places that aren't obvious because, you know, what's the fun in that? So.
And we're told we're not supposed to say. I learned that the hard way.
Oh, no.
But yeah, we're not supposed to say where the Pizza Planet truck is. I think we can say where A113 is, but I don't think
It's in 2 places in the film.
I think I worked it out.
Did you?
Okay. Is it on the tails of
Yes.
Gerald?
That's one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
They
hard
both
one.
say their ailments in it.
Yes,
in
and
their
they pop
tags
up
are
and it's
A113.
A113.
Yeah.
Right, okay, because if I got that wrong, that would have been really
That would have been
embarrassing.
really embarrassing.
Can't have that. Anyway, more questions? This lady here.
Hi there, Carrie from Diva Magazine. My question's for you, Ellen. Dory, as we know, suffers from short-term memory loss, which could come in handy from time to time. And I was wondering if there was any moments in your career that you'd rather forget happened.
As opposed to now.
I can't remember any. I don't. It seems really corny and cliche to say, but every single thing that's happened has been either a beautiful blessing or a lesson. And so I look at everything as a guidepost, and like even the most horrible things that supposedly horrible things or embarrassing things are character forming, and I'm grateful because it made me a more compassionate person, and I'm happy for everything that happened.
Another question, please. This man here.
He's new.
He's so new. So fresh.
You, David, from the Crack magazine. Ellen, did you find yourself adopting, people, actors talk about taking their parts home with them. Did you find that motor-mouth delivery kind of went with you when you went home? Or you like that anyway? Or...
No, not really. It was, I'm in the studio and I'm immersed in it when I'm there. And then it's also, mainly what stays with me is the out-of-breathness of it all. And,
Here it comes.
It was, I would like those as outtakes, please, on the DVD of how many times you made me breathless or scream. I mean, because Dory was always left behind, so there was lots of, can you just do that one more time? It's like, how can you not use the from before? You already have that. I mean, and for 3 years, there was lots of that. So I took home anger and resentment or just bitterness.
It was the first thing that you said to me after watching the movie. She walked in, she goes, where was all the panting that I
So
recorded?
many times you wanted me to pant more. I think it's some weird, freaky, kinky thing you're into.
Yeah, exactly.
You got that at home watching me just pant and scream.
That's the third film right there, just you panting.
I've got to ask you, Dominic, did you take any bit of Gerald home? Was there a bit of sea line in you?
Well, I think he was lazy. I think I was lazy before I met Rudder, and things haven't changed much since. So no, I think I just fitted rather well into the role, and probably that's why I came to mind when Andrew thought, who can we get into someone who just sits around on a rock all day in the sun, doing nothing? I know, there's that English.
Dog, what was his name?
I would love to have been in the studio when you were recording the off.
Yeah, you jumped right to it. There was no difficulty getting there.
But the difficult one was
which
Andrew does really well, and I can't. And I think Idris was even worse than me. So, is that you or me in the film? I think it's
no. That's all you.
Is it
That's
us?
all you.
Yeah. What the hell's this for?
But he did it.
Yeah.
I would love it if you hadn't have put it in and just went, yeah.
I bet he didn't make you do it lots, though.
No.
More questions. Just 2 to go, so make them incredibly good. Anybody? Lady in white.
Thanks. It's not really a question. I write for the Daily Express. I'm a life coach, and I just wanted to echo what Ellen said. The qualities of Dory are something we could all learn from. The fact that she's non-judgmental. She does forget bad stuff that happens. If only we all had the capacity to do that and not get hung up on stuff. And I think that in that way, she is a role model. She's almost like a life coach's dream, that she forgives, she doesn't judge, she lets go, and she's always optimistic. So I just wanted to echo echo that's such a fantastic message to give to kids as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Also, Just Keep Swimming is in everyone's head forever.
Yeah.
So thanks for that as well.
Yeah.
Forever. Another question, please.
Well, I've got one. It's actually for everyone, for my 9-year-old. For everyone, it's Con, he's 9 years old. He wanted to know, what does it feel like to work with such famous characters on a movie?
As a capacity as co-director, what was interesting to me is, of course, there's a tremendous expectation for the sequel to Finding Nemo. But what's so wonderful about the first movie is the characters are so well drawn and you feel like you know them. And you're not necessarily making the movie for the audience, you're making it to make yourself laugh, and you're working with these really well-drawn characters that you're working your best to make sure it's what the character would say, what the character would do. And so when you're making a sequel like this, you're just trying to do justice for Dory. And what's amazing for me, from my perspective, having worked on the first film, but then on this film, we worked very hard making Dory and working on her backstory, and then when we first got into the recording booth with Ellen, there was a whole side of it that we were missing, and we first heard her speak the lines again and really inform the character with her own sensibility. It really reminded us how three-dimensional the character is and how the missing element of the vocal performance and how that would inform the writing and the whole movie, since so much of it is based around Dory herself. And so it was discovering Dory not only for the movie, but for the audience and for ourselves, and rediscovering her. That was what was most exciting for me. And the new characters we were discovering along the way, but it was all came from Dory and all was based around her story. So it was a journey of discovery and reminding ourselves who these characters are.
Yeah, it's described like it's going on a long car trip with people you already know, but the car trip keeps going on, and you end up talking about stuff you would have not talked about otherwise. And so you start learning more about Marlin and Dory and Nemo and stuff. And then, of course, meeting the new characters is always half the fun.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming down. And please give a warm round of applause to the wonderful Andrew, Ellen, Lindsey, and, of course, Dominic and Angus. Please.